Namaste everyone, welcome back to CodeCraft with Poonam. I'm your coding mentor Poonam Agrawal. In our last video, everything was inside the controller, right? So now, here, you can see that we have three layers. Okay, so we are continuing with the same example, that is our recipe service. Okay, so here you can see we have three layers, that is our controller layer, repository layer, and service layer. Okay, so this is inside the source main, and then this we have created our recipe service, right? So, and we have this model. Okay, so here you can see that here we have recipe service application dot java. So this is our main entry point, as I told you, right? So this is just like opening an restaurant. Okay, and then coming to this model, this is this is our recipe card, okay, where all the data travels here. Okay, and then here is our repository. This is just like our pantry manager, so which stores the data. Okay, and then here you can see that this is our service layer. This is just like our head chef, okay, where all the business logic is written. And then here we have our controller layer. Okay, so this is our recipe controller. This is where http communication happens. Okay, so this is just like a waiter. So here look at this package structure, where we have four clean packages, that is each one has one clear responsibility. So this is what the professional Spring Boot application looks like. Okay, so this is the data flow, that is, so here our customer, here is nothing but our browser or postman. Okay, and then when they give the URL and enter, then it will go to the controller. Okay, here all the HTTP communication happens. This is just like our waiter in a restaurant. Okay, and then the control goes to the service layer. This is just like our head chef, where all the business logic is written. Okay, and then from there the control goes to the repository layer. This is just like our pantry manager, where all the data is stored. Okay, and then the control goes to the recipe. Here this is nothing but our model, right, where all the data travels. Okay, so here data flows down when a request comes in, and flows back up when we send a response. Okay, so here the controller never talks directly to the repository, always through the service, just like a waiter never goes directly into the pantry, right? They always go through the chef. So now coming to our model, okay, this one, that is our recipe.java. Okay, so here you can see that here this is our public class recipe, right? Where we have all the fields like long ID, string name, category, preparation time, cook time, servings, etc. Okay, and here we have default constructor and full constructor. And here we have all the getter and setter methods, and then toString for the, and here we have this toString method to have a proper message in a string format. Okay, so this is our recipe model, the recipe card that travels between all the three layers. So here you can notice that here there is no at the rate entity, no at the rate table. Okay, this is just a simple plain Java class, which is nothing but a Pojo class. Okay, so in our next video, when we add a database, then we will add the at the rate entity annotation there. Okay, so I will explain that part in later video. Okay. So here you can see the, so here each field represents the one piece of information on a recipe card. So think of this like just like a form at a restaurant, where you have a name, category, and how long to cook, how many people does it feed, is it vegetarian, every recipe fills. So every recipe fills out the same form, right? And then here we have a default constructor, and here you can see that we have a full constructor. Okay, here the empty one is required by the Jackson. That's the JSON library that Spring Boot uses. And then fill in the fields using setters. Okay. So here the full constructors is used in our repository to preload the sample recipes when the app starts. Okay. So now here you can see this is our helper method. Okay. So here this is a calculated field. So here Jackson will include this in the JSON response. Okay, as a total time minutes, because it has a getter starting with get. So the service layer uses this method to find quick recipes. Okay, and then here you can see that we have the getter and setter methods. Okay, so here we have the standard getter and setters. This is nothing fancy. So here what it mainly does is this Jackson uses this. So here Jackson uses these to convert between Java object and JSON. Okay. So here this our get name becomes the name in JSON. Okay. And is vegetarian becomes vegetarian in JSON. Okay. Similar with all the fields. So this is called the serialization and deserialization. Okay. So here you can notice that the method here is vegetarian is of boolean type, right? So here the getter starts with is, not get. Okay, so this is the Java naming convention. So this is the Java naming convention for booleans. Okay. So now coming to our next repository layer. Okay, this is where our data is stored. Okay. So so this is nothing but our data access layer. Okay. So this is the first new annotation of this video, that is our repository. When Spring starts up, it sees this annotation and says, oh, you are a data access class. So let me create exactly one instance of you and keep it in my container. Okay, so this is called a Spring Bean. Okay. So think of this at the rate repository as a name badge that says I am the pantry manager. So Spring walks through all your classes, finds everyone wearing a badge and hides them automatically. Okay. So here we have this our private final. Okay. So here we have created our array list, and then this is our next ID. Okay. So and then here we have a constructor. We have initialized this. So this is our constructor, right? We have initialized with the sample recipes. Okay. And then here we have get all the recipes, that find all. And here we are finding by ID. And then here we are checking if the recipe name exists or not. So here we are checking by name. Okay. And then here we are taking the count of all the recipes. Okay. And then here we are saving a recipe. This is a save method to save the recipes, new recipes. And then here we have a update method, okay, to update the existing recipes. Okay, and then here we have a delete method. Here here we are deleting the recipe by ID. Okay, so for now our database is just an array list in memory. Okay, so here our next ID is like a numbered slots on the pantry shelf. Okay, just like recipe 1, recipe 2, recipe 3, and so on. Okay, so in our next video in our next video we will replace this array list with a real database. Okay, that is our h2 with spring data jpa. Okay, but today this teaches us the architecture first. Okay, so now coming to our constructor here, repository. Okay, so here when Spring creates the repository, this constructor runs and preloads 4 Indian recipes. As I have given here 4 recipes. Okay, paneer butter masala, biryani, gulab jamun, masala chai. Okay, so this is just an example. Okay, and then here we have all the read operations. Okay, that is find all, find by ID, exist by name. Okay, so here this find all returns all the recipes. Okay, so when we return new array list, okay, that is our pantry shelf. Okay, so that is a copy, not the original. Okay, so this is the defensive programming. So here you can see that here we are returning new array list recipes. Okay. So here what will happen is this will return the duplicate one, not the original one. Okay. So this will return the copy, not the original one. So this is a defensive programming. Here we don't want someone accidentally modifying our pantry from outside. Okay. And here you can see that we have find by ID. Here it uses the Java streams. So think of it as a conveyor belt. Okay. So all recipes go on the belt. So we filter the matching IDs. So here we filter for the matching IDs and take the first match. So here you can see that it returns the optional recipe, which means that maybe we found it, maybe we didn't. Okay, so this prevents the null pointer exception. And coming to here exist by name. The service will use this check that do we already have a paneer butter masala before adding a duplicate. Okay, so notice the pantry manager has no business. So here you can see that in our data access layer here, we have no business logic. It just stores and retrieves the data. So the decision happens in a so so the decision happens in the service layer. Okay. And then here you can see that here we have write operations. That is nothing but our save method. Here we have update method, delete by ID method. Okay. So here this save is simple. Save method is simple. Okay. Here what we are doing, just it assigns an ID, add the list and return. Okay. It is clean and focused. And then coming to our this update method, what here it's happening is it loops through the list. It finds the recipe with the matching ID and replaces it. So if the ID does not exist, so it returns the optional dot empty method. So the controller and service will handle it. And then here delete by ID. So this uses the remove if. So it is a one liner that removes the recipe if the ID matches. So it returns true if it removes something. Okay. And false if nothing is matched. So this is for today's video. If you liked my teaching, then do let me know through comment and hit the like button and share it with your circle so that it will be helpful to them. And do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you will not miss any of my videos. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. This is Poonam Agrawal from CodeCraft with Poonam signing off.